You've read that message 4 times now. You're not looking for new information. You're looking for reassurance. And that's the strange part. The words haven't changed. Your eyes move across the same sentence, the same punctuation, the same 3 dots that took too long to load. But something in you keeps hoping that if you read it one more time, it'll finally feel settled. It won't. That's not how this works, and the real reason has almost nothing to do with the message itself. Here's the reframe. You think you're gathering evidence. What you're actually doing is running a search for a feeling you already lost. The message is just the place you last remember having it. Psychologist John Bowlby spent decades studying what he called the secure base, the sense that another person is reliably there for you, so reliable that you don't have to keep checking. When that sense is intact, one glance at a text is enough. You read it, you believe it, you move on with your day. When it isn't intact, no amount of rereading closes the gap. You're not checking the phone, you're checking whether you're safe. That distinction matters more than it sounds like it should. Think about the last time someone you trust completely sent you something short. Okay, cool. No exclamation point, no follow-up. Did you reread it? Probably not. You didn't need to because the trust was already doing the work the message didn't have to do. Now think about someone you're less sure of sending the exact same 3 words, same letters, same punctuation, completely different experience in your chest. That's the whole thing in miniature. The words were never carrying the weight. You were. Because the anxious brain doesn't process reassurance the way you'd expect. Researcher Mario Mikulincer, who has spent years studying what he calls attachment anxiety, found something almost unfair about how this works. People high in this kind of anxiety don't just want more reassurance than everyone else. They metabolize it faster. It works for a few minutes, sometimes less, and then the doubt creeps back in and asks for another dose. So you go back for another read. It's not weakness. It's a system that's built to burn through comfort quickly, the same way a leaky tank burns through fuel. You can keep pouring more in, but the leak was never the amount you poured. Notice that. It's probably happening to you right now with this very video. There's a physical side to this too, not just a mental one. When the doubt spikes, your body doesn't stay neutral. Heart rate ticks up. Cortisol rises, your chest gets that faint tightness you'd call nothing if someone asked. Rereading the message is your body's attempt to bring that physical spike back down, the same reflex as checking a lock twice even though you watched yourself lock it the first time. It's not really about the door, it's about the feeling that the door left behind. So, what's actually happening in your head during that 4th reread? You're not evaluating language anymore, you're pattern matching for danger. Every slightly off word, a period where there used to be an exclamation point, a shorter reply than usual, gets flagged by a part of your brain that evolved to notice when something in the group had changed toward you. Back then, being cast out of the group could get you killed. Today, it just gets you a slightly blunt text. Your nervous system hasn't caught up to the difference. But here's what nobody tells you about this loop. The rereading isn't random, and it isn't really about them. It's a habit your body picked up somewhere else. A parent whose mood you had to track before you spoke. A relationship where affection came and went without warning. If you grew up scanning a room to figure out who was upset, you already know how to do this. You just do it to a phone now instead of a face. That's the twist. The message you're rereading was never really the problem. It's a stand-in for every earlier moment where you had to read someone closely to know if you were still okay. Sit with that for a second because it changes what you're actually asking for. You're not asking, what did they mean? You're asking, am I still wanted? And no string of words, reread any number of times, was ever built to answer that question. It's the wrong tool for the job, like trying to check your temperature by staring harder at a thermometer that already gave you the number. So the reassurance-seeking doesn't stop because you found the right interpretation. It stops when your body, not your mind, decides the threat has passed. That's why logic barely helps here. You can know intellectually that the message is fine. You can even say it out loud and still feel the pull to open it again in 10 minutes. Knowing isn't the same as feeling settled, and this whole loop lives in the feeling. MIT researcher Sherry Turkle spent years interviewing people about their relationship with their phones and noticed something that should sound familiar by now. Constant connection was making people feel less secure, not more. The tool that was supposed to close distance was quietly teaching people to distrust the distance in between messages. Silence used to just mean someone was busy. Now silence gets interrogated. What changed wasn't the silence, it's that you're rarely away from your phone long enough to just sit inside it anymore. Picture the group chat version of this. Someone posts something, 3 people react instantly, and yours just sits there unanswered for 20 minutes. You know logically that people have jobs and showers and lives. You reread your own message anyway, checking the tone, wondering if it landed wrong. Nobody in that chat is thinking about you nearly as much as you're thinking about yourself in that moment. That's not an insult. It's just how attention actually works. Everyone is the main character of their own scrolling, and you're a background detail in most of theirs, the same way they're a background detail in yours until a message from them shows up. Think about how different this would feel with a letter. A handwritten one, days late by the time it reaches you, no way to check if it's been read, no typing indicator, no reread option beyond the one page in your hand. You'd read it once, maybe twice, and then you'd have to just trust it. That trust used to be built into the format. Now the format hands you infinite rereads and calls that closeness. It isn't. Closeness was never measured in how many times you can pull a sentence back up. It was measured in whether you could put the phone down and still feel okay. There's an odd trap hiding inside all this checking too. The more you reread, the more the message starts to feel important, and the more important it feels, the more it seems to deserve another read. You built the significance yourself, one pass at a time, out of a text that probably took them 4 seconds to type between doing something else entirely. They've likely forgotten they even sent it. You're still on your 4th pass, mining a sentence for meaning it never held. And that's really what this comes down to. The rereading isn't about them being unclear. It's about a part of you that never fully learned it was allowed to stop watching. That part doesn't need a better message. It needs practice sitting in the gap without filling it, closing the app, letting the silence stay silence for a while, and noticing that you survive it anyway. You'll probably open that message again today. That's fine. Just notice this time what you're actually hoping to find there. It was never in the words. You've read that message 4 times now. Maybe the 5th time you finally read yourself instead. If you enjoyed this, consider subscribing for more videos.